Angela Bassett, everybody knows you as an actress, but this year you got to add another check mark to your resume as a director. You directed the Lifetime movie Whitney about, of course, Whitney Houston's life. How did you get involved in such an anticipated project?
Well, I said yes to a lunch to a friend of mine who was actually a producer on a Lifetime movie I'd done 2 years earlier called Betty and Coretta that Mary J. Blige and myself did in Montreal, and made friends with the producer, Larry Sinitsky. And we would continue to have lunch, in the next couple of years, and we got together, had lunch, and we were talking about life. What are you up to? And the last question we asked was, well, what are you working on? And he said, well, I'm in the beginning stages of a story about Whitney Houston. He had the script. Now he was going out to directors. And he had gone out to one, actually a director that I had worked with on Jumping the Broom, and who had directed Whitney in Sparkle, which also involved music, which was very important to him, that he find a director who could deal with the aspect of music. Oh, yes, of course. It's like a sports movie, a football movie or something. It's just not talking heads. Okay. And but that director was unavailable. So I promised that I would come up with some names of some fresh voices and, maybe writer directors, maybe a woman who could be sensitive to this story, maybe an African American woman who could be a woman of color who could be sensitive to this story, or maybe a young man who's sensitive to a woman's story. and I did, but meanwhile, before the entree came, I said, well, I wish I could direct it, which meant, I wish I had a bit of experience, had directed anything before, could throw my hat in the ring, that it were a possibility, but I knew I had wanted to direct, but I had never, been able to do so because it was just so daunting and trying to raise money and financing and all of that. And sometimes I would just not have the strength or the heart or the tough skin for it, and would walk away and go back to what I know, acting. But I threw that out there as sort of it was just a thought, which I usually keep to myself, but for some reason it sort of came out because this is my friend and I'm not really trying to influence him to allow me to direct anything. So I'm just having a conversation with a friend, and I said what I would usually keep to myself if I really truly wanted it. And he said, he stopped and said, are you really interested in that? And I said, yeah, I think I am. It's just been, it's been a challenge trying to do something like that. But yeah, sure. But anyway, lunch is over. I'll send you the names. Go on with life. Meanwhile, he went to Lifetime unbeknownst to me, said that it would be a great pairing, all the reasons why it would make sense, but she has to go and do American Horror Story. So you got to make up your mind so that we can back up from that date. And, Tanya Lopez, bless her heart, an hour later came back and said, yeah, they were very supportive of new directors and female directors and, actors turning into director. And they said yes, for their reasons. And then I had to read the script and see if it were a story that, that I could find a heart and a reason and a strength to tell no matter what.
And you're so used to being on one side of the camera. I imagine there must have been some surprises, either good, bad. Something was harder than you thought to direct. Something was easier than you thought to direct. Take us through were you a little scared to actually make this jump, or did it all come easy for you?
Oh yeah, I was scared. I remember going home to Florida. He had FedEx me the script there, and I got it. And I was visiting my mom, and she was in rehab, and she would be, don't want to do the exercise, don't want to work, to get strong. And I said, well, Mom, I got this opportunity, and I'm scared to do it too because I've never done it before. I don't know, what's going to come along with it, but I'm gonna, if it's good, if the script is good, and I can, find some worthy and telling of that story, I'm going to do it, even though I'm scared to do it, even though it's something I've never done before, even though, I don't have someone who's taught me. I know I have somebody who knows what they're doing, and the producer who'll be by my side. And I've worked with, numerous people that I will call on, and if they're available, they'll come and help me do this, and I'll put all my trust in their abilities in that arena. Whether it's the cinematographer, or the makeup artist, or the costume designer, or the producer will have to help me with editing, because I'm not quite sure what goes on in that process. But that's what I did. I came to love editing, love it. I thought I would be bored to tears with that, that it'd be too technical. But actually, I loved it. I 12, 14 hours, eat your sandwich on your lap, and let's keep going. I loved it. Crowd scenes, trying to make a crowd of 10,000 out of 150 people. That's a challenge. That's a challenge. Trying to keep your 150 hanging in there with you, all night long, all day and all night. But, I appreciated them and let them know, it is no story without you. It can't be just these two people or these four. It won't be much of a story without you. And so let's get in here and tell this story. It's a worthy story. We all have, a heart for, who we're talking about here. And on all the pictures you want to take after we get our work done, then let's do it. We can do it. So, and I was shake each hand and greet each extra, and whatever. It means a lot, people knowing that you're important, and you're validating people's, their contribution and their presence. And I really was so thankful, because a lot of times it's like over there to the side, blah, 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 quiet. But I've seen it, and you see it a lot. You got to get things done, but it helped. It helped a lot.
Mm-hmm. In the movie Waiting to Exhale, you actually got to work with Whitney Houston, and for those of us that never got to meet her, what was the real Whitney like?
Oh, she was so much fun. Playing, whether we're playing bid whist, a card game, that is a lot about talking smack and selling wolf tickets, and as they say, and and bluffing and just laughing and fun, and so she was great at that. Or whether it's bowling, really, regular stuff, but easy to laugh, easy to talk, full of wisdom, joy, fun. She was, I would say she was as regular, and yet she was as regal. So she was, a beautiful, beautiful combination. Very sensitive, very professional, showed up, knew her lines, hitting the mark, when others didn't, who you would have thought would have. But yeah, it was a real special time.
And that came across in the movie too, that she just felt like this girl next door who also was a mega superstar in her night job, I guess you could say. I imagine there was a lot of pressure to find the right person to play Whitney. So what was it about Yaya DaCosta that made her perfect for this part?
Well, she bare a nice resemblance to Whitney, her physique. She also has an innate grace to her, because she was a dancer herself. So the way she carried herself, just her personality. Yaya's easy and loving. She was a new mother. I think her baby was 9 months old when we started filming. So she's filled with, love and mother's milk and all of that. And she just is a woman who just has a sense of self, of dignity and pride. But yet she's very regular, the natural hair and, the long skirts and Mother Nature. So she has this and yet she can dress up like the, the supermodel. So she has this beautiful duality to her as well that she, goes back and forth with.
And the film is really a love letter between Whitney and Bobby, the good and the bad of their relationship. What about Arlen Escarpita? Am I pronouncing his name correctly as Bobby?
Arlen, yeah.
How did he get cast in the role?
Well, I worked with, when we were casting, he was one of the actors that came in. There were a few, a lot of young guys that came in that maybe I wasn't familiar with, because it's been a while since I've been, in the casting process. But he came in early in the process, and he was, a lot of, some actors came in and they, I don't know what they felt about the character. What so many people felt a certain way about Bobby. So you don't know how that translates. Or they were playing at a character, And Arlen came in with a sensitivity toward being, as a young man of 19, immediately enamored and in love with this 25-year-old goddess. Mm-hmm. You ever been, when you meet someone and just everything about the pheromones, her beauty, her essence, her laughter, her eyes, her shoulders, blade, her everything, her walk, her smell. And he came in and he just spoke, and to whether it was the casting director or me getting in there and trying to do a scene with him, or when finally Yaya was cast and I brought him in just to have a chemistry test. Mm-hmm. Initially I thought, oh, he's so buffed and muscly and doesn't have a gap and doesn't look like Bobby, but he felt like Bobby. All those things of, loving a woman, protecting a woman, sacrificing for, the love of a woman. He brought all those nuances, and then he was open and available to, directing, being directed.
A lot of directors like to cast themselves in their pictures. Is there a reason why you chose not to do that?
Well, it was suggested that I, portray the role, cast myself in the role of Sissy, of Whitney's mother, And a couple of people said, oh, I thought you were Whitney. I was like, are you crazy? I'm too old to play Whitney at 25. Okay. All right, that's a bit of a stretch. I know it's about suspending belief and all, but really, let's not and say we didn't. But anyway, I was asked, well, why don't you, it's 2 scenes, 2 or 3 scenes, as a Sissy. But this was my first outing as a director, and I wanted to give my full measure of concentration to that. But also, as an actor who's getting this shot, I just couldn't in good conscience take a role from another actor. I know I know the challenge of trying to find good roles in good projects for women of color, for actors, basically, for actors, period, and I couldn't. That was greedy to me. That felt, like a little too much and unnecessary for me to do. Plus, I know great actors who could do a far better job than I could have, and that person was Suzanne Douglas, who was played my sister in How Stella Got a Groove Back.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, what was the hardest scene to film? Was there one scene that just took forever and things kept going wrong?
Oh, well, I don't know if I would have to go through the entire movie, but things going wrong, they all took a moment to sort of reach their stride, because they come in, the actors, they've been working, by themselves. We read 12 pages before we started shooting. You know, we had the three actors, and you know, Whitney, Bobby, Robin got together. Let's read through the script. We got to page 12, and it's like, oh, costume needs you, makeup needs you, we need you to test this, oh, we need you to go get fitted for a gap possibility, da 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 da. So, and we start the next day. Well, I think I was familiar with the script. They were jumping in it. You were just hoping that they were getting the time they needed to learn these songs and whatever choreography. But they're, you know, Yaya has a dance background. Arlen, he said he loved, you know, dancing to Bobby Brown as a young boy, and you know, so they're young, they pick things up. So you were just hoping that that was going well, especially since they were working just about every day. I don't know when they're getting together with the choreographer to learn the steps, you know, to every little step, and for Yaya, 4 different songs, and getting the lip sync together. But and I would think the difficult part for her would be lip syncing not to a Whitney Houston song that you've heard all your life, but lip syncing to Deborah Cox reimagining a Whitney Houston song. And she has different runs, you know, than Whitney. It's close, it's very close, but there are some, you know, the ooh, the ah, you know, you've heard them for so many years that you say them without thinking about them anymore, you know. So that was one, the music, getting the music right. It wasn't difficult because Deborah's a friend of mine, and she was my first thought, and she took ownership of bringing all of her talents to it. So that was a blessing. What else was difficult? Oh, the love scenes, they weren't too difficult once you just said, okay, we just got to go there. We just got to go there. We're all embarrassed to go there, but we're going to go there for the sake of the story, and it's going to be fine. So, you know, that was you know, but that turned out fine. Always trying to make 10,000 people out of 150 extras. A crowd scene, you know, you got 100 extras, like, oh, there's a little gap. I ran down there and yay, trying to fill up the gap. You know, so that, and also there was a scene where, because we don't get to go around the world, but you wanted to feel like, you know, she was did concerts everywhere. You know, the concept of changing outfits and changing hair, putting as many cameras and shooting that one scene. It was as if we shot 4 different scenes, but in one day. Okay, we got it. Now change, let's do it again, because trying to get that lip sync perfect, it was to catch it in this outfit, she probably caught it, you know, in another. And that one song, I think, took 25 hours of editing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
But fortunately, I fell in love with editing. So
Hey, now that you have the directing bug, would you ever want to direct an episode of American Horror Story?
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
So, Ryan Murphy, if you're watching this, make it happen.
Right. You know, you just feel like, oh, you're at home. I'd be nervous. They have such great folk, you know, camera people. I trust and believe I'm paying attention while I'm on the set to what's going on, you know. But I think that would be a blast. That would be real honor. So
we just heard about a week ago that you are coming back for the next season, the hotel season. Do you know anything about your character yet? If you're a guest in the hotel, if you're a worker behind the desk? Yeah.
A maintenance. The concierge. I don't know what year it set in, because really for the longest I heard the rumor of Civil War. You know, is the hotel during the Civil War? I mean, I don't know. So I don't know what year it set in. You know, last year was what, the 50s, and I mean, yeah. So I don't, and you go back and forth between time. So I'm looking for it. And last year I heard maybe about 2 weeks before I had to show up. I heard that I had, a trio of breasts like 2 weeks before showing up. I read the script, walked away.
I wish we could have seen your reaction when you were reading the script. I wish someone had filmed you so we could see your reaction to seeing that.
Oh, okay. I signed on the line, so it's too late now. But so I can't wait to read the script this summer.
Right. And what does the departure of Jessica Lange mean for the series going forward? She was such a presence on the show, but you guys are going to be just fine, aren't you?
I think so. I think we'll be fine. She'll definitely be missed. I mean, she was phenomenal to work with. I mean, all that she possesses, her well of emotion and how she gets it done. It was just marvelous to watch and to bear witness to. But we still got Kathy. I'm still like studying still from her. But yeah,
we wish you the best of luck at the Emmys for the directing race for Whitney and for your starring role there on American Horror Story. And also, your husband Courtney B. Vance, he's getting some Emmy buzz for his Scandal episode. Wow. So we're really hoping maybe both of you will be nominated together. You can go to the Emmys together.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I'm very thrilled for him. Very thrilled for him.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Angela. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. You as well. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.